All right, everyone, welcome back to our NCOA update. We're going to do our April NCOA update. As always, I'm Paul Kingsbury. I'm the national president for the Non-Commissioned Officers Association. We got a great episode of our monthly update for you. As you can see, got some familiar guests, and then we got a great new guest for us. She's got a great story, and I'm excited to have her on board. Before we jump into inviting our guests and going around the table, happy April, first of all. I hope everyone had a great Easter, a great spring break. I know I was running around Florida for about 10 days with my stepsons and my wife, and we were just going all over Florida. So a lot of that going on. I think I need a vacation from my vacation now because that was a lot of running around. But there's a lot going on in April within the military or uniformed service community. This month is the month of the military child. It's the military saves month, so there's always a focus on finances, and that's always, in some cases, we know that can be a struggle for many families and service members. Gold Star Spouses Day was recognized early. I think it was 5 April. But there's a lot of other events going on that recognize across the spectrum. So there's, I think, the Air Force Reserve birthday, the Army Reserve birthday was this month. There's all kinds of stuff. So I guess happy birthday to all of them for their specific things. But we have a lot going on at NCOA as well. So there's a lot in the hopper. Joe Terry, our executive director, is going to talk about some of that. But I want to emphasize one of the big things and probably at the forefront for us is our planning and organizing. Frankly, the plan set. So now we're really organizing for our national conference. That's going to be 19 and 22 July in San Antonio, Texas. You can check out the website for details as you need to. And I'll put up some scrolling information on that for you guys to see. But you can always check out our website. Everything you need there for registration is there. I think we've got some of the agendas listed there as well. And we got, traditionally we've done a lot of the same things, but this year, right, Joe and I and the board met and we decided, hey, we want to kind of add some new things based on not just our own observations, but feedback from our members and people who have attended. So we've made some adjustments. We're going to start in our auxiliary is going to host the social icebreaker on the first night. And then we're going to come back with our rat recognition, right, for the rat pack. So we're going to roll that in. That's something that we have done, but there was feedback. We wanted to reemphasize that and re-energize it. So we're going to go and bring that back in. We traditionally did our awards and our parade of checks. We're going to roll that into a luncheon now and try to do something with that. So we will have an awards luncheon and a parade of checks. We're going to have a resilience expert, and you can see here, Kristen Christie join us. She's going to give, because we want to bring more professional development and speakers and content into into our conferences that really broadens us and attracts new people and provides great perspective. So Kristen's going to join us and we're excited about that. And she's going to speak to us later a little bit, give you a little teaser about what she's going to talk about in San Antonio. We're planning to have a combatant commander, senior enlisted leader panel. So our executive director is working that, trying to coordinate that with the CAC's office. So that should be an interesting perspective on what's going on operationally in theaters. And if you're tuned into what's going on around the world, there's a lot going on, not just in Europe and not just in the Pacific, but there are many theaters around the world. So we're going to get to hear that perspective. So if you're on active duty or you're retired and you want to know about their perspectives, that's going to be another great draw. We're going to have speakers from the Veterans Affairs and Defense Health Agency come in and give us briefs on what's going on there and give you guys an opportunity to ask them the hard questions that need to be asked and give them the hard feedback they need to hear. Our DHA brief last year was really good and engaging. I think it was more overwhelming for the speaker and he left with a lot of great takeaways and hopefully engaged the staff. And then we've got USAA giving us a brief and some education. And then we're also going to do a VA loan, how to use your VA loan to the full extent brief. So we got a lot going on with speakers and trying to bring in a professional development and an educational piece into this as well. And then as always, we have a ton of exhibitors there. Joe can highlight those. And then we'll finalize it all with our Vanguard banquet where we recognize a recipient and an awardee from each service for acts of heroism within usually the community, but it can be on active duty as well. So a lot going on there. And then the other second thing I want to update you on is our World War Medallion program that's going on. Again, we're giving out hundreds of those things around. People are posting on Facebook. You can check out that program that is unique to us. It provides you many opportunities, right? So you get a medallion, you order a medallion certificate for a minimum $15 donation, and then you go out and you present that to that World War II veteran or family member of a deceased or passed on World War II veteran. So it does, I think, several things. So it allows us, number one, to connect with our enlisted history and heritage. And I'm not saying all those recipients need to have been enlisted, but you get to meet some of them, and there's not many that are left behind. But to meet an actual World War II veteran, I've had the opportunity to meet them before, to hear their stories. They will tell you these experiences like they were there, right? So if you get that chance, they're out there. This is a great program that can help you link in. We've shared some best practices. Our chairman of the board, Terry Haynes, I mean, he is our leader in this line of effort. So if you've got any questions on how he connects or how he uses the Chamber of Commerce and other local resources to really connect, it's a great way to go. So we want to continue to do that. And we are now in the design process of moving on to the Korean War with a vision to go Vietnam, Iraq, Afghanistan, perhaps Cold War. Again, it's a great way to recognize and connect with our military history and heritage. And then got some feedback, who knows, maybe we could go backwards, right? Maybe we could go to World War II or World War I. Maybe we could go to Civil War and kind of recognize people who have ancestors that served in those. But there's a lot we could do with that program. I'm excited about it. So to give us more, frankly, updates on that, I'm going to bring in Joe Terry, our Executive Director. Joe, how are things going?
Going pretty well.
All right. What's going on at headquarters? I know you're working a lot, so what do you got going on?
Yeah, what I like to say, our 25-meter target is the conference that you mentioned. Putting together the planning process for that, as well as the sponsorship. We're coming along fairly well with that, with sponsors. I do want to highlight, we are seeking a sponsor for our Coast Guard Vanguard. And for those of you who don't know about the Vanguard program, just a little snippet. Basically, we recognize a service member from each of the branches of service, with the exception of the Space Force, because they are still fairly new. But we reward them with a reward that's named, an award that's named in recognition of a Medal of Honor recipient. I went through a long process to get all that approved, but every year at the national conference, we highlight those individuals at the culmination of the event. And we have all the other services sponsored right now, but we're looking for a Coast Guard sponsor. If you're interested, please notify me at the headquarters, and I'll give you the information that's needed for that. In addition to that, just to highlight again that on the opening event, the icebreaker, we do plan to have a fiesta type theme. So for those of you who's coming, think about fiesta when you come there, be dressed appropriately. We may even have a mariachi band on hand to come and serenade us as well. If not, Paul and I may have to get together and play some of those guitars you got in the background there for the mariachi band. But we are planning that, as well as some other activities. On that Wednesday morning, when we open up the ceremony, we're going to have a VIP from the state of Texas, welcome all of our guests and visitors there, and the delegates, of course. And then we're going to have a panel with the senior enlisted advisors of the services. I'm working with their staffs now to see who is going to be able to come out and represent those services for us. But that's normally one of the other highlights of the event. But this time you're going to get a treat, and I'm not going to tell you a whole lot about it. But we're going to have our guest speaker, as mentioned earlier, Miss Kristen Christie, is going to join us, and we really appreciate her taking the time out of her schedule to join us. And again, she's going to give you a snippet about her and what's going on with her. But we definitely want you to come out and see those activities, as well as some other things we have going on with the conference. Moving on to the one of the other pretty important features, if not the most important, is a membership drive. We have a membership campaign going on. It's each one reach one. Basically, we're asking all of our members to adopt or sign up, if you will, one new member, at least one new member this year, and it can be for any of our division, the regular division, family division, veterans division, but we really want to reach a goal of 1,200 new members. We do have some incentives in place if you do recruit a new member. If you recruit one new member, your name goes into a drawing for a $500 or $250 gift certificates that you can use at your choice. There'll be a Visa card. You can't get all three of them. You get one of the three. But if you sign up 10 new members, you get 10 opportunities or more if you sign up more. So we really we should be able to just exceed that 1,200 member goal. But the caveat to that is we have to sign up at least 1,000 to even kick off the incentive drive. We are well over 500 now, so we're not quite halfway there on the big goal. We are over halfway, obviously, on the 1,000 member goal. So we got to get to work. But again, it's very easy. Just step out of your living room or into your kitchen. You have someone in there that's 18 years or older, you can sign them up. That's how easy it is. So help us with that program. As mentioned about the World War II Medallion Program, that is ongoing. We are really doing well on that. We've got more chapters and individuals that are picking up and helping out on that. Sir Terry Haynes, again, is still setting the example, but we got some others that are heading to take them up on that challenge. So we really appreciate it. If you want to sponsor a World War II individual and or a family member, because we've already also been presented them to family members of a World War II veteran, please let us know. And you can do them privately. You can do them in big, ceremonies. However you wish to do it is great. We would ask if you can, and if they would allow, that you would take a photo of the event and let us know so we can share it with other people, because we really want to recognize these individuals for making an ultimate sacrifice for us, so that we'd be able to do some of the things that we're doing today. So it's just a small token of appreciation for what they are doing and what they did for us. So that program is ongoing. We are asking for, again, recommendations for the Korean War Medallion. We've got some rules and regulations out there that we're putting out as far as what we want the medallion to look like as far as the design. And we're giving you some opportunities to put your work on pen and paper, and then we'll see what we can do about selecting someone to where we can go forward with that medallion. More to follow. We do have information out on the website and on our Facebook pages, and I've sent information via email. However, we're going to be updating that information soon, so keep your eyes out. And again, we'd ask that you would support us in that program as well. Other than that, I'm keen to see here, we've got some other programs we'd like for you to still support, if you will. One is the OWL Community Salutes, and that's basically a program where we recognize individuals that are, instead of going off to college immediately, they decided that they want to raise their hand and enter one of the services. And basically, it's a send-off of the veterans to say, hey, full speed ahead, we're here to support you, and we're proud of you for going out and wanting to do some of those things with the service members out there. So if one of these programs are going on in your area, we ask that you support them. And basically, all you have to do is sign up and show up. And again, just give a good send-off for these individuals that have decided that they want to serve. And we really appreciate and encourage you to do that. Other than that, unless someone has some questions later on that you can put in the chat box, that's all I have. I appreciate it.
All right. Thanks, Joe. Yeah, just a couple things. So yeah, for membership, I've got my fourth one for the year. So I'm tracking, Joe. I'm getting one a month at least that I'm sponsoring. So my relief at Fleet Force Command, Rick West, or Rick O'Raw, he was a Fleet Master Chief there. I got on the phone with him. He gave us some great feedback right on the medallion program and stuff. And I'm sponsoring his membership. So welcome to Rick and any other new member who's joined. I know some of the chapters have done some great job. They welcome a new member. They give them a ball cap. They post them on Facebook. That's the kind of stuff we do, just like we did on active duty, right? You onboard someone, you welcome someone to your command, you sponsor them on and do it right. I like the work we see with a lot of those chapters out there doing that. So keep doing that, and welcome to all our new members. And then for the Korea Medallion, just to let you know, it's a design contest. So you don't have to be a member to design that coin for us. So if you're not a member, so the person whose design we choose is going to get the first coin. They're going to get that presented. Ideally, if they could come to the national conference, I would present it there. And then also you'll get that name recognition of having been in. We'll probably put that up on the webpage that you were the designer. And then we've also talked about some for non-members, free membership or something like that. So definitely when you want to see your design ideas and, own a piece of this, own a piece of NCOA. And like I said, that legacy that we're working on through that program. So, all right, Joe. So another big line of effort for us that many embrace is that voice of the enlisted force that we do with legislative and government affairs work we do. So to give us an update, we got Levi with us again this time. Levi, how's everything going?
Great, Paul. Everything's great. It's good to see you guys again. Christy, it's great to meet you. I'm glad you could be on board with us. We appreciate it. Guys, I can't stress enough the importance of the legislative piece in any VSO. The fact that you have a voice on the Hill is imperative to growing a VSO and really also protecting your rights as an active duty service member and or veteran. And that's essentially what me and the team do. And I'm going to throw a little bit of a plug in here. And I know if you're interested, we have of course, our national conference. We do have a legislative team, a resolution team of volunteers, and they're all over the country, all of you guys. So if there's something that's hitting home for you, whether it's toxic exposure, whether it's your rights to whatever it could be, please let us know, because we'd love to have you on that team and help support different legislative ideas and different bills and do some research on that part and kind of just be a part of the legislative team. So just that little tidbit out there. But what I wanted to give you guys also is an update on pretty much 4 different topics we've been working on. Letters, what happens is, and not to kind of go kindergarten on everyone, but essentially what a bill is we're writing up concerns. We send these concerns out to these legislators, these members of Congress. And what they do is essentially they turn it into a bill and it's introduced on the Hill. And when we introduce a bill on the Hill, what we're doing is gaining support. Once we gain enough support, then it's voted on. And then whether it's voted on in the House and or on the Senate, which is going to start on one side or the other, then it's presented as if both Congress and the Senate agree to it, then it's presented to the president and he signs it into law. And that's our goal, guys. And there are a couple topics where we just need your support, where you might want to call your local Senate office. You want to call your local congressman. And if they're not supporting these bills, which you'll typically find on that advocacy letter, call them up and say, hey, guys, my name is so-and-so from NCOA, and I'm a veteran or I'm an active duty service member, and we want you to support the Richard Starr Act or the PACT Act, which we'll go over briefly, and not to bore you with a whole bunch of legal jargon, but we want you to be a part of the system. And that, even if you can't really donate your time and do any research, that phone call is about 10 minutes, guys, to your office. And if they get 100 phone calls within a week saying to support a bill, guys, they're going to support it. It's that whole saying of knocking on the door, someone eventually will answer, right? And that's what we're trying to do here. So just a couple things that me and the team are working on with the PACT Act. For those that don't know what the PACT Act, I'm going to give you a really quick, brief discussion of what it is and a letter that we have sent out to Congress. PACT Act, throughout our history, and most recent over the course of more than 20 years of the war, post 9/11 era, service members and veterans suffer prolonged exposure to dangerous toxic substances such as burn pits that destroy trash, medical supplies and human waste, chemicals, fuel, and all around the battle areas of Iraq and Afghanistan, which many of you have served at. Hundreds of thousands of members were exposed to this. Not only servicemen and women, but also DoD contractors, and a lot of them have died because of these toxic exposures. now with that, essentially what we're doing is basically calling Congress out and saying, hey guys, you need to take care of these people that have been, and I'm sure a lot of you have been turned away from the VA because of some type of exposure that you've had and no proof that it was during the time of service. Well, the good news is, guys, this bill has just passed Congress. So of course, going back to what I initially said, right? We have Congress that has agreed, the House side, and so now we're working on the Senate. So if you call your senator, which we have 2 in each state, right, and just tell them, hey guys, we want to support the PACT Act, that's going to go a long way from hearing from the people, the voters, the most important people, and especially our veterans. And you know, if we take care of our veterans, you know, eventually our military will grow. We have a really hard time of retention because we're just not taking care of our members. And you know, that's what our voice is here at NCOA, to make sure that, you know, you may not realize the legal rights that you have, and that's what we're here for. That's what I'm here for. So please utilize me. That's what we want to do. The other thing that we're working on also that we've been supporting that has been going really, really well is also the Major Richard Starr Act. Now, a brief description of this is again, a letter that we have written out to our members of Congress, which states service members who are medically retired due to combat-related injuries before reaching 20 years of service are prevented from collecting both their service-earned retirement pay and VA disability compensation. These 2 benefits established by Congress for entirely different reasons are nonetheless subject to statutory offsets. In recognition of injustice, medically retired personnel may apply for combat-related special compensation that partially makes up for this injustice. So essentially, we want to make sure that that members are getting your pay, like that. This is important. You know, these are 2 different things that have been presented, that have been promised to you, and you're not getting it. And so again, this is something that NCOA and our team are fighting for. Again, in the advocacy letter, guys, when we see this, it is important, again, to reach out to your member of Congress. Right now in Congress, I think we have about 260 members of Congress on board, on the House side, excuse me. So, which is great. Of course, we're trying to get everyone on board so we can clear this without an issue. But things like this is what our team is doing, and this is what we're trying to do. Little small things also that we don't want to slip through the cracks, such as the Fair Credit Reporting Act. There's a lot of reservists out there. We have a lot of reservists. We have a lot of guardsmen out there, and we need to take care of them just as much. They are serving in a different capacity. However, they are still serving us and our country, and we want to take care of you. And so something like that, where it's a very simple amendment to this bill, which active duty service members do have already, don't apply to our reservists and our guardsmen. And so essentially, this is just a simple thing where NCOA, along with only 5 other VSOs, are pretty much spearheading with the offices, with some offices in Congress and the House side, to push force. And it's a very simple amendment. And essentially, this allows you as a reservist or guardsman to have your credit protected. And all it is to let you know if something bad is happening. So essentially, if you want to apply for a job where you need, a TS, a security clearance, or whatever the case may be, you already know how that your credit's good and it's solid, and you don't have to worry about something funky coming out on your background check. And this allows you to come into the civilian world and continue a career. And this should be not just for active duty service members. In my opinion, it really should be for their families as well. But that's me. So, but it's an easy win and something simple. So again, kind of to throw out, it's a lot for a small team that we have currently, and we want to grow. So if these are things that you're like, oh, wow, yeah, that's affected me at some point in time, let us know so that you can be a part of the process and you can help us with this. and find those little small wins that make a huge difference in people's lives. And the last one, which is going to be something, for example, so that the two first ones, right, are ones that are big, that are going to be hard, and we are making a lot of headway and are doing well. However, the small one, like the Fair Credit Report Act, of just amending that, is just an easy win for us, and so important for our members. And then stuff for our airmen and some of our our Navy and our Marines. There's these are different things. Aviator Cancer Exam and Study Act. We have a lot of crew that are experienced rhinitis, sinusitis, and these unusual cancers. And again, our people, sometimes the VA doesn't take very good care of us. It really depends who it is. DoD, great. You go into one of those facilities, everything's easy, streamlined. It seems so simple. You go to the VA and you're almost like placed on hold for eternity. And so something as simple as this, which makes such a big difference, of just essentially, guys, all it is it's a study. It's to say, hey, look, we need to make sure that we are finding out what's going on before it's too late, and before these people hit stage 2, stage 3, stage 4 cancers, where simple things can help. So these are important things that we are working on as your Director of Government Affairs and our legislative team, and we would really love to have more members be a part of it, even if you're just donating 2 hours of your week. 2 hours of your week makes such a big difference of just making a couple phone calls and helping us out. So don't mean to plug that in so much, but there's a lot of work that can be done, guys. And again, we're your voice, and I want to do the best for us, guys. So
awesome. All right, Levi. Yeah, and you're doing great work. So thank you for that update. So what's your advice? Like if I've got an issue or I got something I want to say, how does a member or someone let you know? How do they reach out? How do they connect with you? Or I'm sure they could just post it on Facebook, but how do I connect them and get it to you with some substantive information?
That's a great question,
to back it up.
Yeah, that's an awesome question, and it's very easy. I send out those newsletters, guys, where you're getting those advocacy letters on the 1st and the 15th. And I will tell you, there are quite a few people that will respond to those and ask questions. And that's my email. And I'm pretty good at commenting back and making sure that your answers are being questioned, your questions are being answered, and that your concerns are being addressed. So email is the best way. You send me a concern. There have been people like our chairman, Terry Hines, where he lets me know if there's an issue or something that he sees. He sends me the link. He sends me the bill number. Guys, it's really easy. Look at your local congressman or woman that and what they're supporting in your veterans and your military, in their military liaison that's working for them. Contact them, see what they're working on, and see if that's something that you think we should support. And or if you see it in another state, you can let us know. And sending me an email with that information, so easy, and it gives me a little bit of direction. Try to get it doesn't have to be well detailed, but it needs to be somewhat detailed, because if you ask, why can't I get more money? I'm not going to be able to help you there.
Yeah. And personal stories always connect, right? Like if you can give a for example, that's huge. So we got a Facebook comment from Everett Fight. He said, we used to get notified of critical legislative actions and given the opportunity to send a structured letter to our congressional leaders. What happened to that? I just got one from the DAV last week. I don't know if there's any insight on that, or that's a takeaway we can take and look into.
I think that's a great question. And to be honest with you, that is something we're working on. And of course, building our team, our legislative team has been kind of mute for a while now. And thanks to the direction of Joe Terry and several other members, we have been able to kind of bring NCOA back to the limelight. So these are things that we should do. So Everett, we appreciate it. Reminders and kind of ideas like that of say, hey, you know what? This is what worked in the past. Let's do it again. Let's do it. Yeah, I mean, there's no reason not to. So
Absolutely.
I appreciate the comment.
Yep. And there's, like I said, as we moved on, I mentioned that first when I got in the seat, hey, we're going to move into some new space. We got to acknowledge that things change and we got new audiences and a new generation to attract and communicate value to, but that doesn't mean we dismiss what we've done historically. So we preserve, and there's things we've probably done that we should continue to do that had value. Some things aren't relevant anymore. So we move away from those, but that's great feedback. So, and again, Levi, thanks for your time. I know you got to roll out here for a deadline, so we will see you for our next update on legislative affairs, but keep up the great work. And then I'll make a plug here. Again, when you talk about value of membership, why should I join an organization like it not just NCOA, but VFW or Davy, whatever you have, your service specific, whether it's Air Force Sergeants Association or whatever. For us, of course, yes, you pay in and then you get the WIFM, right? What's in it for me? So yes, you're going to get some discounts. You're going to get some swag. You're going to get some benefits. You're going to get eligibility for programs, right? So scholarships and things, but you got to be a member, right? So we have an NCOA scholarship fund. You got to be a member if you want to get eligibility for that. But you also, part of those membership dues go into funding, right? We got to pay Levi. We just, I'd love for him to volunteer, but we have to pay for resources to get things done. So we got to pay for travel, we got to pay for a salary and things like that. So a portion of your membership dues go into that. Okay. So just recognize that. And then also, they also help fund other things. Like I mentioned, they help us fund our scholarship fund, our Betsy Ross fund, our disaster relief fund, and things like that. And then another benefit of membership that you get in is your connection into your local chapter and the fellowship and the connections and the opportunity that brings, like I mentioned, using the medallion program to connect into your local community and frankly, tell the story, tell the enlisted story, tell your story and stay connected. That's all the benefits of membership. So if you're out there, the trends have been membership in these organizations is declining. I don't think it's not because they don't have value. I think we're not communicating our value well. So that's my piece on it. So thanks, Levi, for what you're doing in that legislative and that government affairs space. And we'll see you again in the future. So
thank you all. Right. And I'm sure if we can ask Paul for my email address, if we do not have it, it is lsauter@ncoausa.org. Please feel free to reach out to me. I'm available all hours of the day.
Awesome.
That's Joe.
Yes. All right.
Take care.
Take care, Levi. All right. So I am now excited to welcome Kristen Christie. So I'm telling you, so I got introduced to Kristen through our vice chairman of the board, Gerald Morey. I consider him her number one fan, right? So we kept talking about Kristen Christie. I'm like, okay, got it. But she is a resilience expert, international speaker and trainer. She's got a great story. And now that I've met her, I understand what you're talking about. And, Kristen, welcome and thanks for taking the time to join us.
Hey, thanks so much. I appreciate the opportunity.
Yeah, so I could read your bio, but I like to hear it. So tell us a little bit about yourself.
I'm a military spouse. I grew up as a military child, month of the military child right now. And so it was no surprise when I went off to college at the University of Texas and I found my community at the ROTC building and ended up marrying an airman. And started my life as a military spouse back then. And it was the only way of life I know. I grew up on military installations my entire life, growing up, whether it was Air Force or Army or Navy, those joint bases. But I really love the language and the culture that we have in the military. So I become a military advocate. Unfortunately, there were some trials of magnitude in our life. My husband took his life 3 days before he pinned on Colonel after a deployment to Baghdad. I knew he came back different. I didn't know what to do. I wish I had those 4 years between his deployment and when he took his life. which was actually today, 14 years ago, on April 21st. And I remember the doorbell ringing. I happened to look at the clock, and it was 5:06 Mountain Time when it happened. We have two boys. They were 12 and 14 at the time. And I have become an advocate for suicide prevention, for mental health, for overall resilience. Resilience is a skill that we all learn, we all can learn. It's just like a foreign language or cooking, which I haven't mastered yet, I will admit, that we learn, and we learn through the trials and tribulations. I am who I am today, the 2018 Air Force Spouse of the Year. Was the first woman and military spouse to be chair of the Military Affairs Council here in Colorado Springs, which is the second military city USA other than San Antonio. I found my voice. Unfortunately, it took that adversity to find that voice. But now, anytime I can tell our story, and I will go in deeper, it will be a roller coaster ride. I promise I will end on a very high note, the legally high note. I am in Colorado. And the lessons that I learned, not just from Dawn's suicide, not just from my children's attempt, there were statistics. Research has shown that family members who have a loved one who died by suicide are more likely to attempt. I had a stroke in high school after being a world-class athlete and playing Steffi Graf in tennis. That's where my silver lining came in. After brain surgery, my hair was growing in, and it looked like I slept on a whiteout pen. And as it was coming in at 16, I was too young to be gray, so I colored it. But now, truly, there's a silver lining. Sometimes you have to dig deep in it to find it, but really, that silver lining, your community. And Paul, you talked about the community of NCO Association. I am a member of NCO Association. That community, I think, is the number one benefit to this organization, to any organization you belong to. But in the military, as we PCS, and we're getting into PCS season, move and get embedded in your community. It is vitally important, whether you're an introvert or an extrovert, get to know your neighbors, whether it's on base or off base. It's so important. We are not made to do life alone.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And I think this is the military has definitely invested in resilience training and building. I don't think this was a skill set. I think it used to be, and I think early on it was your family didn't come in your sea bag, right? There wasn't a lot of investment in value in family, right? It was this kind of thing, and then it was just no focus. We've got benefits for them, but I know in the Navy we started investing in the 70s in Fleet and Family Support Centers, Ombudsman program. You have the Key Spouse program on the Air Force side, and now there's definitely a recognition of the need to educate people on resilience, right? Because there's several pillars of it. There's the physical, there's that resilience through team identity, and how that can be challenged. So what's your thoughts on how well the military community and military services are doing this?
So I think it's better, right? I mean, who wakes up and says, yay, it's Wingman Day, we're going to go over suicide prevention, right? It's just, or even the word resilience, it's been there for a long time. We just haven't had a label to it necessarily. I think we're getting better with the initiatives that are happening, like the Air Force and Space Force is doing the Fortify the Forces initiative team to look at the barriers to access for mental health and resilience for total force. And what I love is all the branches. Total force is our active duty members, our reserve, and I'm a reserve spouse, our guard, and our family. And it's not just spouse and children, it's also parents, if our single, airmen and soldiers and sailors and Marines and Guardians and Coast Guardsmen. We see the bigger picture. Now, I remember so vividly as we were moving from San Antonio to Okinawa, Japan, we had a sponsor family.
Yeah.
This was in the 70s, 80s. We had a sponsor family. We don't have that formal program right now, and I don't know if it was Air Force Wide or my dad's command that did it, but why can't we as individuals and as families become sponsors? Become sponsors for our single military members who are living in the dorm, just like we do at all the academies. We have sponsor families for them. We've got there are private organizations like Home Away from Home at Tinker Air Force Base in Oklahoma. They do just that, and it's not military families that are sponsoring the single military members, it's community members.
Yes.
So what a great way for our military members to get embedded in their community, get invited over for Easter brunch or movie night, and having that community. And sometimes the community is online, right? Whether it's Zoom, but also the gaming community. The Air Force and Space Force have the gaming, the streaming community, and teaching them how to connect, not just playing the game.
Yeah.
You know, hey, how was work today? Or I heard you're going to UI soon. How is that PCS going? You know, how's your family? You had mentioned your mom was having surgery. How's she doing?
Yeah.
That type of thing where it's really that human connection that is so important.
Yeah.
And it's fun. It's fun.
Yeah. So
to be with people.
Yeah. So I often wonder sometimes to what extent does I think it's changed, right? But there's an attitude that goes with being in the military sometimes, this belief of toughness and things that get in the way, that kind of makes, you see it all the time, and it's definitely generational, right? If they're like, oh, just suck it up, the Navy, Army, Air Force I was in,
Rub some
we didn't
dirt in it.
it's too squishy. So what would be your message, to those who think like this is a squishy topic that people should just be able to suck it up?
Yeah. I know from experience.
Yeah.
You can't just suck it up. I have so many regrets from the past 14 years, and even before that, 18 years really since his deployment, that I want to use our family story and the lessons that I've learned to help other people. That one, community is your superpower.
Yeah.
For me, my faith played a huge part, and still does, in those adversities that we get. So through adversity, we learn perseverance and endurance. I mean, that is a byproduct. It's a positive byproduct of those adversities.
Yeah.
And then that influences our character, and character provides hope. And there truly is hope. So I talk about acronyms. So at the conference, I will go through some acronyms. We're all about acronyms, right? In the military, but it's reframing that. But I kind of want to flip the script a little bit. We talk about when people are in crisis, or when they're getting to that point, right? That there's no shame in asking for help. And that's that squishy conversation. We talk about hard conversations, asking someone outright if they're thinking about suicide. And I want to say it's not a hard conversation. I can do it very easily now. I wish I could have done it back then. It's an untrained conversation.
Right.
And when we can train ourselves, but instead of telling people and directing them, if you need help, there's no shame in asking for help. How about those of us who are in a good place, noticing a little bit more?
Yeah.
Hey, Airman Smith is typically a Tigger, and she's been an Eeyore for a number of days. Now, we all have those days, right? We all have bad days.
Yep.
But when it's extended, or when you notice, one of Don's coworkers came up at his funeral and said, I noticed he took his family picture off his desk. I had noticed his fingernails bitten down to the nubs, which was not usual. Some of us are wired to be noticers. it's up to us as a community to reach out and say, hey, I've noticed. That means I see you. I see you as a human being, as a person. I've noticed things are off.
Yeah, I think that's
How
great.
can I help you?
Yeah.
Right?
Because we talk a lot, definitely on active duty. It was like, know your people, right? But do you really know them? Do you know? And the only way you can know them is daily exposure, and not just in the Navy we'd call it quarters, right? Standing up and kicking off the day, right? But actually getting around, knowing what does green look like for them, right? What does normal look like? So you can see the subtle differences. So it's not about memorizing their kids' names and their pets' names and knowing all their hobbies, right? That's important, but do you know them? Can you see the subtle changes in them? So we had one user that said sucking it up may work for a while, but it always comes back. Better address it and get help. So we look forward to that
Absolutely.
discussion.
Yeah, it's like if you don't feel the feelings, it's Mount Vesuvius.
Yeah.
It will erupt sometime, somewhere, and be messy, and just it's easier if you just have that community and someone, a battle buddy, a wingman. My friends call me the emotional support human.
Yeah.
Without the vest and do not pet and working dog, whatever, but that emotional support human to help take the emotions out of that emotional ruck on this emotional battlefield.
Yeah.
And it makes life easier. Plus, it helps us. I want to help other people.
Yeah.
Do I want to clean my own house? No, I would much rather come over and clean Joe's house. So if I can get outside of my circumstances and help someone else, that helps me in the process.
Yeah, I love it. So I think we've touched on this a little bit. The last question I'm going to have for you. So what do you think an organization like NCOA could do at the national level and at a local chapter?
Yeah, I'll address at the chapter level.
Okay.
It's checking in with your folks.
Okay.
Time, treasure, talent. The three things that we talk about. Time is the only constant. 1,440 minutes every day. Every 4 years, we get an extra 1,440 minutes, right, with leap year. But it takes that connection, that phone call, that text message, hey, how are you doing? And then putting the name on there, or, whoever it is from the NCOA chapter, just checking in on them. Sometimes people don't need mental health, a professional necessarily. They just need someone to listen to them.
Yeah.
And so on the chapter level, but I think on the national level too, listening to members on what they would like and opening that up. How can we help? And I don't call it a mental health necessarily. I call it a vector check, right?
Yeah.
Vector check. How are you all doing, and what can we do to support you and your family? And you're going to get so many different answers because everyone's an individual and has unique circumstances. But it's that community aspect, reaching out, being willing to listen. I love the legislation. I love what Levi's doing. So I worked through that process since 2017 to get a 3-digit suicide hotline number. I don't know if it would have helped me and my family, but it's worth taking down that barrier. So in 2017, we started the process. In 2020, it passed the House, passed the Senate, and was signed by President Trump to make 988 the new National Suicide Prevention Lifeline. The 10-digit number that we have, which is also the same number for the Veteran Crisis Line and the Military Crisis Line. A lot of people don't realize it's 3 names for the same number.
Okay.
But in July 16th of 2022, it should be active all over the nation.
Awesome.
When you're in a mental health crisis or someone you care about, you don't have to be in the crisis yourself to call. Dial 988 and it'll reach a trained professional. And then dial 1 if you're a veteran or military to reach a professional who has that cultural understanding.
Okay. Awesome. So that's good to know. We'll highlight that definitely in the newsletter and our comm channel. So thanks again, Kristen, for joining us. Look forward to hearing your story more. Again, come on out. She's got a lot more to the story, a lot more insights and takeaways to offer. But you can come see her live again in San Antonio. I forget which day specifically. I think it's the day 2, Joe. Is that
Wednesday.
right?
Yes, Wednesday.
Wednesday. Yep. And what time?
Let's see.
Yeah.
Wednesday at 1350 for military minded, to 150 to 1445.
All right. So come on out and join us.
After lunch, I'm going to keep you up.
Yeah.
No napping after lunch.
Exactly. And
That's why we
then,
made a little break in between before we get you. We didn't want you right after lunch.
Awesome.
so, and you got me thinking, like, I'm like, hey, NCOA, you know, kind of, I'm thinking the national level, maybe we can host some kind of, you know, coordinate with SEAC or someone to host a resiliency summit or something like that at the national level, or, and then the local chapters, right? If you're close to a base, realize there may be a need for a resource, a welcoming committee, right? To kind of engage with those families. And you could probably definitely reach out to that command chief, command sergeant major, command mass chief, and get a sense of who's moving in, when, and I think that's a great way to welcome them in and show value and support people all at once. So lots of work we can do. But Kristen, thank you again for joining us. Thanks to all our members and those watching. Again, we'll post these videos. We're live right now. There was an opportunity to answer some questions when we got that. So thanks for posting those, but we'll post this on our website, and then you can always go back in the Facebook feeds and look at this episode and others. So I hope everyone has a great week. Kristen, safe travels. I know you got a lot of travel going on. I look forward to meeting you in person here in a few months. So thanks again for joining us.
So I'll just tell you, I'm a hugger.
Okay, that's okay.
Okay.
I've learned to develop my squishy, so I've gotten better.
Good.
So, and then Joe, yeah, we'll see you as well. Keep up the great work at headquarters. I know we're always on you to kind of change and make something else happen, but you and the team and the limited team we've got do great work. So until next month, remember there is strength and unity. We'll see you then.
Thank you. Thank you, Christy, for coming on with us.
Yes.
Thank you.